Hello everyone, welcome back. If you are new here, I'm Mel and I make videos all about different ways of making money online and how to organise and manage your personal finances. I wasn't sure what to make a video about today, so I asked myself the question, what's going on with your businesses, my little mini businesses and income streams? What's going on with those at the moment that you could tell people about? And there is something pretty big going on. I have finally started reselling on Vinted. Now, those of you that have been here for a while already know that reselling is one of the biggest sort of chunks of income that I make online. And I started off 7 years ago, quite a long time ago now. I started off reselling on eBay. I then, about 18 months ago, I would say, sort of phased out of eBay, kind of left eBay and started selling on Etsy, and have been really enjoying selling on Etsy until recently when the tariffs appeared on items going into the US that are less than $800. That rather messed things up for me. So what's happened this month then in September, I think I'm recording this, is it the 10th today? I feel like we're quite far into September, and I have had one order on Etsy. I had to go through all of this rigmarole of setting up loads of different like shipping categories and shipping options and things so that I can still ship to the US, and it has obviously put those postage charges up considerably. I can only assume that that is a big reason why those sales have taken such a nosedive when the shop has been really thriving, actually, certainly in terms of what I expect, need and want to get from it. So I think there's that. I haven't really listed that much over the summer. That could be a contributory factor. Either way, I cannot continue with just getting one order in about 10 days when I usually get between 40 to 50 every month. It's a small part-time business, by the way. This is not like full-time income business, but even so, it's a chunk of money coming in from Etsy, but not this month apparently. So that is what has given me the nudge to get going on Vinted. And I thought I would tell you about what's happened on Vinted since I started that literally just a few days ago. So I'm recording this on a Wednesday, and last Friday, I photographed about 50 items to list on Vinted. I listed a few of them, I think, on the Friday. Didn't really do anything over the weekend, and then I listed everything else on Monday and a few stragglers yesterday on Tuesday. I don't normally work on a Friday, but because of the circumstances, I thought to myself, you cannot afford to have a Friday off this week. You need to get going on this Vinted shop. I also had lots of things to list on Vinted, lots of different things to test out, because over the summer I culled a load of stuff off or out of my Etsy shop anyway. I removed a load of items that hadn't sold in over a year of being on there, items that weren't getting any views or kind of interest in them. I also removed quite a lot, not all, but quite a lot of the really low priced items that were on there for, I don't know, £3, £4, £5, because after Etsy fees, they're not really worth my time and effort being on there, because I just don't get much profit from them. So I had loads of those items. I've still got loads of those items to go, but I had a good batch of those to photograph and put on there. And then I also chose some items from my stockpile of things that were due to go into the Etsy shop that I thought, well, do you know what? I might as well try those out on Vinted as well. So over the course of, I suppose, 3 days, I've kind of set up a 50-ish item, because there's a few like stragglers from just items that of my own that I was decluttering. So there's a few of those still hanging about on there. But it's now predominantly reselling stuff, things that were bought to resell on there. So the one sale that I have got from Etsy this month, just one in about 10 days, was for a couple of fairly low price items. It came to £24. After fees and things, I get less than 20, I think, or maybe it's about 20. And in the really just 2 days of actually listing properly on Vinted, I have a pending balance on there of 90 something pounds. I can't remember it exact. I've also just had an offer through of £2.50 for a little £3 item that I put on there. Probably something that I culled from the Etsy shop. When I accept that, I'm going to be close to hitting £100 in a very short space of time. I am stunned. I'm really pleased because it's exactly what I needed to happen. But I suppose there's two things that I wanted to talk about. The first one is I just thought I would tell you what's kind of sold so far. Not like exact items and showing pictures, but just talk you through the types of things that seem to be selling. I will do a more detailed deep dive into what's sold on Vinted for me. I'll do a deep dive with my Substackers or my members over on Substack, but I'll give you an overview of it here just for the casual viewer, so you get a sense of what's working for me. So I'll tell you that in a minute, and then also ask for a bit of advice because it is early days. I do need to give both the Etsy shop the opportunity to recover and Vinted to sort of just pan out and see where that goes. And I think the next 4 months is probably a really, really good opportunity for that. But what I wanted to ask you guys about, those of you that are resellers, what should I do in 2026? Like, do I move the bulk of everything over onto Vinted and maybe just have a few, maybe by then I'll have figured out what sells best on Etsy and what sells best on Vinted, and I can kind of split it that way. I don't know. Anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. So things that have sold so far. I have sold an oil pastel garden floral landscape, quite a small one, for £15. I've sold a few like little kind of fairly like insignificant unnamed bits of costume jewellery, some vintage cufflinks and vintage clip-on earrings. Has there been anything else? Yeah, just things like that for sort of £2-3 each. There's been a few of those, and because I bulk buy any jewellery that I sell, they would have cost me pennies. So to get a couple of quid back, and also I should say I list really quickly. I've always been able to, whether it's eBay, Etsy, and now Vinted, I list quickly. It's not something that takes me very long. So I'm quite happy to put those sorts of things on for £2, £3, £4 and let them sell through. I've sold 2 pieces, I had to write it down because I knew I'd forget. I've sold 2 pieces of sterling silver and amber jewellery. It was a pair of earrings, not like massive chunky earrings, just slightly oversized stud earrings, a pendant, a silver pendant with amber in it. They sold for £12 each, so that's £24 in total for those. So that was pretty good. I sold a Joma John Lewis costume necklace for £8. I have sold a costume ring for £20. That was like a brand name one. And actually this is really good because the modern costume jewellery, I've never really been able to sell it on Etsy because it has to be at least 20 years old. So I've had this little stockpile of things that I've not really had anywhere to necessarily sell them unless I went back onto eBay. So now I can put those on Vintage. That's really great. It means that those job lots of jewellery that I buy kind of really go a lot further in terms of my my profit. So just some paperback books. I pick up paperback books there's a 20p trolley outside a charity shop, and I just do a little kind of cast my eye over those whenever I'm passing and pick up a few of those. Again, they sell for like £1, £2, £3 each, depending on whether they're vintage ones. They might go for a little bit more. If they are like recent releases, they might go for more. Fairly bog standard common ones will just go for like £1 or £1.50. So there's some of those on there that I've sold. I sold a graphic novel for £8. One of those, like you get like the really, I want to say fancy, like the independent board games, like indie board games. I picked up, it wasn't a board game, it was some sort of card game. It was called Exit something or other, Exit the Game, Exit the Forest. I think it was meant to be like escape room style puzzles. Anyway, I bought that for £1 and sold it for £8, I think. I haven't got it written on here, but I think it was £8. So it's quite a variety of things that are selling so far, with the artwork being, no, the artwork and the ring being the most expensive at £15 and £20 respectively. And I've got other stuff on there as well, very similar types of things. Like there's a few more books on there left. There's some bits of jewellery on there left. There's some modern jewellery, there's a few little bits of vintage jewellery on there. And really, I'm just kind of testing the waters to see what sells. And I've just been really impressed at the speed with which it sells. I don't know. I just feel like I could be onto something, even though there's loads of people that are already on there and selling loads of things. Oh, that's the other thing that I've done as well, is I've started following some shops. I've started liking a range of different types of vintage items to see what kind of things are selling. And I've noticed that collections of vintage picture frames seem to sell. I mean, there's some people that are selling quite big collections of like 7 to 10 of them, and they're getting 30, 40, 50 quid for them. And I thought, oh, I can jump on that bandwagon because I know some places that I can get those really cheaply. So we'll probably be testing that out soon. What else have I noticed? Oh, stoneware items, but then that also has sold quite well on Etsy for me. So I am officially getting into it. I'm getting into the vintage thing. And I want to know, is nearly £100 in, let's say, 2 days really of listing, is £100 good? Because it feels really good, because I'm used to Etsy. Etsy is slow, really picks up over Christmas. Usually have a really good November, probably not this year, but usually have a decent November because people are buying for Christmas gifts. Also, as well as that, are you prepared to let me know in the comments types of item that you think I should make a little bit of a beeline for? I'm not selling clothes. Actually, no, I would sell like real wool Fair Isle jumpers and maybe tweed blazers, like some like nice materials, and probably like old stuff. I could make an exception for a few things like that, but generally speaking, I do not want to resell clothes. I can't even bring myself to list my own clothing items, let alone things to resell. I can't do it. So it needs to be objects. It needs to be things, and preferably things that don't take up too much room. So and let me show you what I bought. I bought something and it was going to be to resell, and it would have made a really good chunk of money, I think, on Vinted. But I've done that thing that we're not supposed to do as resellers, which is just totally and utterly fall in love with what it is that you've purchased and decide you're going to keep it. But there you go. I'm going to show it to you. Now, I don't think you're going to be able to see me or see all of this because it's enormous, but I got this for £3. How stunning is that? I can't even just, oh God. So in my dining room, I have been collecting botanical art because I wanted to create like a gallery wall on the chimney breast in there. However, now I've got this, I'm thinking I might just hang this on its own because I think it is just enough on its own. I mean, it is big. It's big and beautiful and I love it. It's a tapestry and it's come from the Hedgerow Gallery, Harrogate Road, Leeds, and it's, I think, when did we start getting the extra one in the telephone numbers? I think it might be a pre that. I don't think it's particularly old, but I think it's probably like, I don't know, maybe 20, 25 years old, something like that. It's just gorgeous. It's everything I dream of in botanical art. It's so lovely. So yeah, so I got that for £3 and I can't sell it. I can't sell it because it perfectly fits what it is that I want to do in my dining room in terms of the artwork there. And it does mean that there's a few other bits and pieces that I've collected that if I now go and look at those, I might be able to maybe sell those instead, kind of do a one in, one out type of thing with them. I don't know, but anyway, I mean, things like that for £3 is just incredible. So I will definitely be keeping an eye out for things like that. and hopefully I'll find some that are equally good that won't fit anywhere in my house, and I will actually sell them. But that is the state of affairs with my reselling. I have been going along really nicely on Etsy, actually really enjoying it, really enjoying the types of customer that I'm getting on Etsy. For the most part, there's still some tricky ones, but it just nowhere near as bad as eBay was. Really enjoyed that. I enjoy like wrapping the items up a little bit more nicely and things like that. That's been really nice. And just generally, I like the look of my shop on there. I think it looks really attractive. It's really nice, etc., etc. I have enjoyed my time on Etsy, but I don't know. I think it could all be over on there. Let me know your thoughts on the selling platforms that you use and things that you think that I need to think about before I make any final decisions. I will make that decision in January, basically, whether I'm going to make more of a shift over onto Vinted. I will keep you posted on here, because one of the things that I want to do is just start to slightly restructure the channel. I haven't been on here much for the last year, as I think I've explained in previous videos. I have been over on Substack, just building up my membership on there and bouncing ideas off the people in there, and just really enjoying that, and really enjoying creating the content over there as well. It's just been so relaxing. It's felt really safe. It's just felt really warm, kind, friendly, really lovely. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm now starting to feel ready to come back on here a little bit more frequently, which you may or may not have noticed. But what I want to create on the channel is, I do want it to be about making money online, and I do want there to be an element of it that's about managing that money that we make online, and how I organize my money, how I plan for my future, how I manage my spending, and just all of those things, because I think they go hand in hand, and I think they go really well together. But what I also want to do is, I want to be able to talk about the different income streams that I have, and I have about 6 or 7, I think. So what I would really like is to create a playlist. So have one that's about personal finance. I think I've already got that, but have a playlist for each of those different income streams. The algorithm will hate it. The channel will not grow very much, but I will be happier for it, because rather than just niching down and talking about one thing that I'm doing, I don't want to be a KDP channel. I don't want to be a reselling channel. I want to be a multiple streams of income channel, which I'm not sure the algorithm will ever fully understand or appreciate. But I know that if I come back and create the channel and structure it kind of how I want it to be, and in a way that makes me happy, I just know that that's going to be for the best, because I am predominantly making my income from those income streams, not from sharing it on here. That's okay. That has to be okay, and I have to be okay with that. And I am, and that's kind of why I come back. I mean, I am monetized, and you know, I've made a lot of money from one particular video, which if you look through my back catalogue, you'll be able to see exactly what one that was. So I have made a lot of money from that, and I am monetized, so I will continue to get, you know, a bit of money coming in, even from videos with like much lower view counts. But overall, it's a very small part of my income, and that's okay. That's absolutely okay. But speaking of selling things and making money online, those of you that have also been here for the money videos, and in particular like the budgeting videos, I have got the budget spreadsheet listed on Etsy, and I've also set up like physical copies of the planner on KDP. They are pretty much done, and I've also taken the covers that I have designed and I've put them onto notebooks as well. So if you're not interested in the money planners, but you would quite like to buy something from me, then there will be notebooks as well, lined notebooks. So I will tell you all about that probably in the next video, I think, because I will just have it all ready and tell everyone about it properly and include the links and everything in my October budget video. So we've got that to come. Anyway, thank you so much for spending a bit of time with me and listening to me talk about this latest pivot in my reselling income stream. Like I said, really would love your input on this. So I will meet you in the comments. Those of you that are also my members over on Substack, expect a detailed report at the end of this month outlining my number of listings that I've got on Vinted, a comparison between what kinds of things are selling and what has actually sold on Etsy versus Vinted and so on. I'm reporting on them both and I'm going to report it to my Clubhouse members. So I will see all of you in some form at some point soon.